Happiness isn't about walking around with a constant smile or feeling unshakably positive every moment. That image of happiness, perfect, shiny, and untouched by pain, can be misleading and even toxic. True happiness, the kind that sustains us, is much deeper and much more complex than that. It's a foundation that's built over time, not on fleeting pleasures or a string of good days, but on resilience and a mindset rooted in gratitude. To truly understand happiness, we must shift away from the idea that it's something we achieve or reach, a destination we arrive at once we have everything we want. True happiness isn't a prize for a life well lived, it's a way of living, a way of being that allows us to move through all parts of life, the messy, the chaotic, the disappointing, and yes, the joyful and the beautiful with a sense of grounding. When we redefine happiness, we see it as something sustainable. It's a stable force within us, nurtured through practices like self-compassion, gratitude, and mindfulness. It gives us the courage to look life in the face and say, whatever comes, I can handle it. This kind of happiness allows us to be honest about our struggles, to face our pain without letting it consume us, and to find peace in the midst of uncertainty. It's a kind of strength that doesn't come from having everything we desire, but from realizing that even without everything we desire, we are still complete. Redefining happiness means understanding that it doesn't erase the difficult days. It's what holds us up during them. It's finding joy in small, quiet moments that might seem ordinary or even insignificant to someone else, but mean the world to us because we've chosen to be present for them. Happiness, in its truest form, allows us to find meaning in each day, to be grateful even when things aren't perfect, and to keep going even when the road is hard. This approach doesn't make happiness conditional on external success, approval, or things going perfectly according to plan. Instead, it's about cultivating an inner life that can remain strong and steady even as the world around us shifts. Happiness becomes a way of seeing, an openness to life itself. It's a courage and a kindness that we extend toward ourselves as we navigate each day. And when we redefine happiness this way, it becomes more than a feeling, it becomes a lasting companion, a quiet strength, and a gift that, once found, can never be taken away. Happiness isn't just something we stumble upon or a feeling that magically appears when life is good. It's a choice we make and a practice we nurture, day by day. Happiness in its most lasting form is intentional. It's the act of deciding that despite circumstances, despite challenges, and despite the chaos that can surround us, we will seek out moments of joy, beauty, and peace. It's about choosing over and over to cultivate a mindset that brings contentment into our lives, even when the world around us might feel uncertain or overwhelming. Practicing happiness means we aren't passive recipients waiting for joy to arrive. Instead, we actively pursue it, invest in it, and work on building it. Like a garden, happiness needs attention and care. We plant seeds of gratitude, compassion, and presence, and over time, they grow into a deeper sense of fulfillment. This kind of happiness doesn't appear by accident. It requires effort and a willingness to focus on what really matters. And often that means consciously shifting our thoughts away from comparison, scarcity, and worry, and instead focusing on what is good, what is abundant, and what is possible in our lives. Each day, choosing happiness means taking time to reconnect with ourselves, to understand what brings us peace and joy, and to prioritize those things, even in small ways. It could be as simple as taking a moment to enjoy a sunrise, to listen to a song that moves us, or to reach out to someone we care about. These practices, though small, add up over time. They create a foundation that's resilient and enduring, something that can sustain us through both good days and hard ones. But let's be clear, choosing happiness doesn't mean ignoring or suppressing difficult emotions. It's not about denying hardship or pasting on a smile to hide pain. In fact, part of choosing happiness is allowing ourselves to feel everything that comes our way honestly and openly, to process it, and then to make the conscious decision to move forward with hope and kindness toward ourselves. We practice happiness not by avoiding sadness, anger, or disappointment, but by choosing not to be defined by them. We acknowledge them, learn from them, and then gently let them go, making space once more for joy and peace. Over time, the practice of choosing happiness becomes a habit, something we naturally lean into. It becomes easier to notice the beauty around us, to connect deeply with others, and to find gratitude even in small, unexpected moments. We begin to realize that happiness isn't a destination we have to reach or a reward we only get after we've done enough. It's a part of our everyday lives, a quiet decision to keep looking for light in even the darkest places. And by consistently choosing happiness, we create a life that in all its messiness is fulfilling, meaningful, and truly worth living. Embracing imperfection is about letting go of the need to be flawless, to have all the answers, or to maintain control over every aspect of life. It's acknowledging that no matter how hard we try, there will be mistakes, missteps, and moments of vulnerability. This isn't a weakness or failure, it's simply a reality of being human. In a world that often pressures us to be perfect, to constantly improve, or to measure up to an impossible standard, learning to accept and even appreciate our imperfections is a powerful act of self-compassion. When we embrace imperfection, we start to see that our worth isn't tied to our accomplishments, appearances, or how well we meet societal expectations. We are valuable not because we are perfect, but because we are authentic with all our quirks, scars, and struggles. Accepting this truth frees us from the exhausting pursuit of perfection and lets us focus on what truly matters: growth, connection, and resilience. Allowing ourselves to be imperfect creates room for growth. Instead of fearing mistakes, we can learn from them. When we stop hiding our flaws or judging ourselves harshly for them, we give ourselves permission to evolve. We can make mistakes without feeling like failures, and we can take risks knowing that even if things don't go perfectly, we'll be okay. Imperfections are the markers of our journey. They remind us of our resilience and our ability to overcome. Embracing imperfection also deepens our relationships with others. When we allow ourselves to be real and vulnerable, we create a space where others feel safe to do the same. We build authentic connections based on who we are, not who we think we need to be. This honesty is magnetic. It draws others in and creates a sense of belonging. People don't connect with our perfection, they connect with our humanity, our shared struggles, and our openness to being exactly who we are. At its heart, embracing imperfection is about finding peace within ourselves. It's learning to look in the mirror and see someone who is enough just as they are. We stop striving to fix everything about ourselves and start to appreciate our unique qualities. Each of us brings something irreplaceable to the world, something that no one else can offer. Our imperfections make us human, and in our humanity, we find our beauty and strength. This isn't about settling or giving up on growth. It's about understanding that growth happens through acceptance, not judgment. To embrace imperfection is to accept life's unpredictable nature. It's realizing that there is no perfect path, no guarantee that things will go according to plan. Life is filled with detours, surprises, and challenges. Instead of fighting against this, we learn to adapt, to be resilient, and to find meaning in every twist and turn. Embracing imperfection allows us to navigate life with grace, accepting both the good and the challenging parts, knowing that every experience shapes us in meaningful ways. Ultimately, embracing imperfection is a lifelong journey, one that requires patience and kindness toward ourselves. There will be days when we feel completely at peace with our flaws and days when we struggle. But by committing to this journey, we discover a sense of freedom and peace. We learn that we are enough just as we are, and that life in all its imperfect beauty is worth living fully and authentically. Embracing imperfection doesn't mean giving up on improvement. It means redefining success as the courage to show up, grow, and be real moment by moment. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. It's seen as a sign of weakness, a chink in our armor, something to be avoided or hidden. We're taught from an early age to toughen up, to present only our strongest selves to the world, to mask our fears, sadness, or insecurities. But in truth, vulnerability is the opposite of weakness. It is a courageous act, an honest surrender that brings us closer to our true selves and to each other. Vulnerability is the willingness to show up even when we don't have all the answers, even when we feel exposed, knowing that we're risking judgment, rejection, or disappointment. This openness is where real connection, resilience, and ultimately happiness begin. To be vulnerable means to be open to the full spectrum of human emotions. It requires us to acknowledge our fears, our desires, and our dreams without self-judgment. We must lean into the discomfort of not having everything under control. In this openness, we experience not only our own depth, but the richness of life. Vulnerability isn't about being fragile, it's about being fully present. When we allow ourselves to feel deeply, whether it's joy, sorrow, or uncertainty, we're embracing the truth of what it means to be alive. Vulnerability is our invitation to authenticity, asking us to release the masks and embrace who we really are, even when it feels risky. In relationships, vulnerability is essential. It's the bridge that allows us to truly connect with others. When we are vulnerable, we invite others to see us as we are, not as we think we should be. This honesty can be intimidating, but it creates a space where real trust and intimacy can grow. When we share our struggles, fears, or uncertainties, we open the door for others to share theirs. Vulnerability tells others, I'm human, just like you. I have my doubts and my insecurities, but I'm still here. This mutual openness fosters a deep sense of belonging, of being seen and accepted for who we are, not for the roles we play or the facades we build. Vulnerability also brings us face to face with our own resilience. By allowing ourselves to feel pain or admit to fear, we come to realize that we can endure. We might not always have control over the outcomes of our choices, but by embracing vulnerability, we affirm that we have the strength to handle whatever comes. This practice builds our resilience over time, transforming our approach to challenges. Instead of avoiding discomfort or pretending everything is fine, we learn to acknowledge and work through it. We become more adaptable, more compassionate toward ourselves, and more courageous in facing the unknown. Vulnerability helps us to see that setbacks are part of growth, not an indication of failure. At its core, vulnerability is an invitation to live more fully and honestly. It's easy to live guarded, to build walls, to keep people at a safe distance, but in doing so, we shut ourselves off from life's richness. We might avoid pain, but we also miss out on genuine connection, joy, and purpose. Vulnerability invites us to step beyond those walls, to take the risk of being seen and known. It calls us to be brave enough to say, this is who I am, and I'm okay with that. In showing up authentically, we find freedom from the pressures to constantly prove our worth or earn our place. To embrace vulnerability is to accept that life is unpredictable, that we won't always get it right, and that we don't need to. It's about giving ourselves the grace to be imperfect, the patience to make mistakes, and the courage to continue showing up. Vulnerability reminds us that we are all connected by our shared experiences of joy and sorrow, hope and fear. It allows us to find common ground and see ourselves reflected in others' journeys. And through this shared understanding, we discover that we are never truly alone. Choosing vulnerability is a radical act of self-love. It's a decision to honor our true selves, to let go of shame, and to live without apology. We come to realize that our worth doesn't depend on others' approval or on a flawless image, but on our commitment to live openly and courageously. Vulnerability might feel like stepping into uncertainty, but it's also stepping into freedom, the freedom to be ourselves, to grow, and to live with purpose. And in embracing this path, we find that vulnerability doesn't make us weaker, it makes us whole. Our connection and belonging are fundamental to our well-being. They're as essential to us as air, water, or food. To cultivate these is to fulfill one of the deepest needs of the human heart, the need to feel understood, accepted, and valued. Connection is not simply about being surrounded by people or accumulating relationships. It's about depth, presence, and authenticity. It's about the people with whom we can be our real selves, who see us in our entirety and accept us just as we are. Belonging, on the other hand, is that profound sense of fitting in without needing to change or hide any part of ourselves. It's not about blending in or compromising our truth, but about finding a space where we feel safe to stand in it. Cultivating connection begins with vulnerability and authenticity. We can't truly connect if we're hiding behind masks or pretending to be someone we're not. When we dare to show up as our imperfect, flawed, beautifully human selves, we invite others to do the same. True connection happens when we allow ourselves to be seen, not only for our strengths, but for our fears, our doubts, and even our pain. It's about finding the courage to say, "This is me," and trusting that the right people will understand. This openness creates a bridge, one that allows us to see and understand one another in deeper, more meaningful ways. Belonging goes even further. It's the sense of being at home, both within ourselves and with others. Belonging means feeling secure enough to be genuine without the fear of judgment. It's about finding those people, those communities, or even that internal acceptance, where we feel that we can simply be. True belonging requires us to honor our own values, beliefs, and experiences, even if they differ from those around us. It's about being willing to risk not fitting into every group because we're committed to finding the people and places where we fit just as we are. Connection and belonging also thrive on empathy and active listening. In our world of distractions, it's easy to hear without listening or to respond without fully understanding. When we truly listen to one another, we offer a gift, the gift of feeling valued. Active listening means setting aside our own assumptions and judgments to fully understand someone else's experience. It means showing up with empathy, allowing ourselves to step into another person's shoes and view the world from their perspective. Through this, we validate their experience, creating a space of respect and understanding that strengthens our bond. Building connections and fostering belonging also means investing time and energy. Relationships are not built overnight. They're cultivated through small moments, shared experiences, and mutual support. It's easy to expect instant closeness, but deep bonds are created through showing up consistently, both in good times and in hard times. It's about being there for others without expecting anything in return, about being present not only when it's convenient, but when it's needed. This presence over time builds a foundation of trust and loyalty that can withstand life's challenges. Belonging doesn't mean sacrificing our identity to fit in. It means creating or finding spaces where we feel we truly belong. Sometimes this means we have to be brave enough to walk away from places or people that don't honor who we are. It may mean creating new communities, reaching out, or even redefining what family means to us. Belonging can also be cultivated within ourselves. It begins by accepting and embracing who we are so that we don't seek external validation or change ourselves to be accepted. When we feel at home within ourselves, we radiate an inner peace and confidence that attracts others who resonate with our true selves. At its essence, connection and belonging are acts of love. When we connect deeply, we're offering others acceptance, compassion, and understanding, and we're receiving the same in return. We are saying you matter, your story matters, your presence is valuable. Cultivating this takes courage, commitment, and often a willingness to be uncomfortable as we navigate the complexities of relationships. But it's this very connection, this rooted sense of belonging, that makes life rich and meaningful. It gives us the strength to face challenges, the comfort to find joy, and the reassurance that we are not alone. And through these bonds, we come to understand that we are part of something larger, that we are connected not only to one another, but to the human story as a whole. Gratitude is more than a fleeting feeling. It's a mindset, a way of seeing the world that can transform our lives from the inside out. When we begin to view gratitude as a fuel, something that powers us through life's ups and downs, we start to see it not as a passive reaction to good things, but as an active practice, something that keeps us grounded, hopeful, and resilient even when things get hard. Gratitude fuels us by reminding us of what is already present, the blessings and small miracles that surround us daily, often unnoticed. By focusing on these, we cultivate a well of strength and perspective that helps us weather life's inevitable storms. Living with gratitude doesn't mean ignoring challenges or glossing over pain. It's not about pretending everything is perfect or dismissing hardships. Instead, it's a deliberate choice to recognize beauty and goodness, even when life feels heavy. In the midst of challenges, gratitude invites us to pause, to look around, and to remember that there is still something to be thankful for, whether it's the support of a friend, a quiet moment of peace, or even the lesson within the hardship itself. This practice doesn't erase pain, but allows us to find balance within it. It offers a reminder that even in darkness, there are glimpses of light, things that keep us moving forward. Gratitude fuels resilience by building a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. When we focus on what we're grateful for, we shift our perspective away from what's lacking and toward what's already here. This abundance mindset empowers us, helping us to see that we are not empty but full, not deficient but blessed in ways we might have overlooked. This shift in perspective doesn't just make us feel good temporarily, it strengthens us, preparing us to face difficulties with a mindset that looks for possibilities, solutions, and silver linings. When we approach challenges from a place of gratitude, we're better equipped to navigate them without feeling overwhelmed or defeated. Gratitude is also an anchor that keeps us present. Often our minds pull us into the past with regret or into the future with anxiety, distracting us from the here and now. But gratitude roots us in the present, helping us to appreciate the moment we're in. When we practice gratitude, we're not lost in the what ifs or should have beens instead. We're grounded in what is. Each moment becomes richer, more vibrant, because we're not simply rushing through it. We notice the small things: a warm cup of coffee, a shared smile, a gentle breeze, and these small moments become sources of joy and connection that might have otherwise been overlooked. Cultivating gratitude is also a pathway to greater empathy and kindness. When we're thankful for what we have, we develop a natural desire to give back, to share that abundance with others. Gratitude reminds us of our interdependence, that so much of what we cherish was made possible by others, the people who love us, support us, or simply make our lives easier in countless small ways. Recognizing this, we become more aware of how our actions affect others, more willing to offer help, and more inclined to see the good in those around us. Gratitude fosters compassion, bridging gaps and creating connections that make our lives and the lives of others richer. Practicing gratitude also opens us up to receiving life's blessings with humility. It reminds us that not everything we cherish is solely a result of our own efforts. Much of it is a gift, something we did not earn but received. This humility doesn't diminish our accomplishments, but allows us to appreciate the bigger picture, to see the contributions of others and the grace that has supported us along the way. In this awareness, we become less attached to striving for control or perfection, realizing that we're part of something larger, that we're supported in ways both seen and unseen. Gratitude then becomes a source of peace, reminding us that we don't have to carry everything alone. Ultimately, gratitude as fuel is a way of living with intentionality, choosing to see the beauty, lessons, and gifts in our lives, even when they come wrapped in challenges. It empowers us to move through life with greater resilience, humility, and compassion, enriching both our own lives and the lives of those around us. When we embrace gratitude, we open ourselves to a life that is fuller, more connected, and deeply fulfilling, fueled by a recognition of the beauty and blessings that surround us every day. Gratitude is a powerful, intentional practice that keeps us grounded, resilient, and connected to what truly matters. It's not just a reaction to good things, but a choice to see beauty, goodness, and abundance in all aspects of life, even during difficult times. By focusing on what we already have rather than what's missing, gratitude fuels a mindset of abundance and strengthens us to face challenges with hope and perspective. It keeps us present, fosters empathy and kindness, and humbles us by reminding us of the support and grace that surround us. Embracing gratitude enriches our lives, creating a deeper sense of peace, purpose, and fulfillment.